Welcome to the Self-Publishing School podcast. This is the podcast to listen to if you're an aspiring writer or an author who wants to be more successful. On this show, you'll learn how to write and launch a book successfully, all from the top authors and people just like you who are doing it at the highest level. I'm your host, Chandler Bolt, the founder of Self-Publishing School, the author of the book called Published, and the CEO of selfpublishing.com. For free training on how to publish a book that sells 10,000 copies, go to selfpublishing.com/free training. Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and joining me today is my good friend, Sean Cannell. Sean's a YouTuber, international speaker, and coach that helps entrepreneurs build their influence and income with online video. He's the author of the book, YouTube Secrets, and his YouTube channel has over 1 million subscribers, probably even more now. His videos have been viewed 55 million times. He's also been featured on the 20 must-watch YouTube channels that will change your business by Forbes. He's really, really good at YouTube, and he's had an unbelievably successful book launch. I'm looking right now, 1,349 reviews on his book. So we're definitely going to talk about that, how he launched it successfully, how he gets reviews, and how to use YouTube to sell more books. Sean, welcome. Great to have you here.
Chandler, so pumped to be here. Love your YouTube channel, by the way. Such high-level business advice, and just grateful to be hanging out with you and your community.
Yeah. So let's start. Why write the book, YouTube Secrets, and how did you see that fitting in with your goals, both personally and business-wise?
Yeah, for me, I think I knew I always kind of wanted to write books. There's something magical and special about books. A book that I love is called Deep Work by Cal Newport. Although it's more recent, the thinking behind it is kind of why I love books, because we're living in such a tweet, short form, throwaway, lack of substance world. Books are where you can unpack an idea, have a real impact. I know my life has been changed by books, by my favorite authors, and you build a relationship and concepts go much deeper, and the stories and the illustrations and the frameworks flush out concepts, and they can have that much more transformation, not shallow impact, but deep impact. So I knew I wanted to write a book. I also knew that it was something that was a little bit different than when you think about digital. Of course, people write books on social media and whatnot, but I noticed a gap in the market that even years ago, there was only kind of low quality books out there. That's what I love about what you're doing, is because you help people make sure that it's actually so professional, great cover, listed right, formatted right, etc. And all there was just some like misspellings, ebooks on YouTube that were super sketchy. And so I was like, there really wasn't an authoritative book on YouTube. And then it is actually co-authored between my friend Benji and I, and we started catching a vision to do that. I want to say maybe around 2014, because we already had done some stuff with YouTube. I hadn't actually built like a 1 million subscriber channel yet, but I had helped lots of authors and speakers and kind of experts grow YouTube channels. I had grown my own YouTube channel and was making thousands of dollars with affiliate marketing in niches. And then Benji was like a YouTube celebrity with him and his wife that had a bigger vlog channel, and she had a makeup channel and he had a cooking channel. So I also thought about the authority of the synergy. I was like, man, together, he had done a real estate channel. We've sort of scoured all the various angles with which you could use YouTube. So that was a decision to kind of partner up on the book. And we saw it as a way, again, to stand out, be different. I'm sure it's like things you've taught that, man, when you've written a book, you really become that subject matter expert, that thought leader. Our mutual friend, I think, Michael Stelzner from Social Media Marketing World, where we hung out, a few years back when we used to be able to go places and hang out in public before the pandemic. He said he likes his speakers to have written books, not only because of the pillar of authority it's done for them, but also because it's meant they've thought through their process. It means they've gathered and brought cohesion to their ideas. And so even the process of writing the book helps propel you to another level. And because of all my research and all my study and everything I'd done, that's basically why we knew we wanted to do it. And so we jumped out on the journey.
Yeah, so it's authoritative, drop the mic content piece to become more of a subject matter expert in this area. A specific question on this topic: how do you write a book like this in a way that's built to last? Because it'd be easy to write a YouTube book that's click by click, kind of all the little things, and then all that changes, and then the book becomes outdated. How do you write a book in a subject like this that's built to last?
Yeah, one of the unlocks for me was learning about the power of frameworks and trying to make a framework that was as timeless as possible. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People has a framework. Some of the most, especially business and personal development and kind of self-help type books, if they can have a framework. So for ours, we ended up creating the 7 C's of YouTube success: courage, clarity, channel, content, community, cash, and consistency. And the framework and the thinking and the mindset and the mentality was what we went into it. It was very intentional so that the book would be timeless. What's crazy about that, Chandler, is we just did 2,000 units in January of 2021, which is years after the book came out. It's a social media book. We're on our way to like 65,000 copies, including the audiobook and the ebook, which is pretty remarkable. But when books get outdated so fast, so we broke the book into 2 sections. Part 1 was the strategy and basically the mindset and the 30,000 foot level. And then part 2 was tactics, which were, in this case, social media, discoverability, collaboration, trends, and team. And interestingly enough, those are actually all still relevant. So the entire book was written in such a way where we were not trying to write a book about go to this Google page, enter your email here. That would have been instantly outdated. But I think that's also the power of a book. It is about the mindset, the thinking, the strategy. I mean, Think and Grow Rich, of course, an all-time classic that everybody on this would know, doesn't actually tell you how to form an LLC in Washington State, but it obviously is about those higher level principles. So we came at it from that angle, and we came at it with a lot of story and a lot of inspiration, which is a whole nother interesting thing that I've learned, which was we came at it helping your everyday person, your beginner person, which is a small percentage of people that criticize the book, but we knew that beginners were always the biggest audience and that we'd be reaching into libraries and actually classrooms and actually people who needed to know the why to, the what and the why to. The how also then points to our courses, our YouTube channel, and the how is always like the actual very tactical how is always changing. So the book becomes kind of like, if you will, the YouTube Bible, that it gives you the philosophy and the thinking that can then be expounded on the continuous content that's on YouTube.
Go deeper. Yeah. And they can go deeper with you by going beyond the book, which is just a perfect marriage and kind of 1-2 punch. Let's talk about how have you sold so many copies? What's worked well? 65,000 copies, that's awesome. And probably more impressive is 2,000 copies in a random month, 2-3 years after the book launch, right? And so what have you done that's worked well?
Yeah. So I think, man, a list of things, but I think number one, we have continued to promote it. And I think the mistake authors make is they think way too much about the book launch and they don't think about just the continued promotion. In fact, it's almost like a married couple that all they think about is the wedding, and they invest all their money in the wedding. And then afterwards they go, actually, that was kind of cool, but dang, I wish we had a down payment for a house and actually like the longevity of our life. So I think I wouldn't say we botched it, but our book launch didn't even go very well because it was just during such a busy season, but it was way less about a sprint of a couple of weeks and way much more about the marathon. A couple of things that we set out to do. Number one, we set out to grow an email list of 25,000 people before we ever launched the book. That was a foundational principle. And interestingly enough, Chandler, what happened was, I was talking with Benji. I was like, what if we wrote a book? It would help us stand out. Your expertise meets my expertise. We would have this asset. We have been friends for 5 years previous to this or whatever. And we talk about YouTube. We geek out about YouTube all the time. So we actually committed to writing the book. But then I said, you know what? Just because I have a channel that's actually at the time for like church creatives and like tech and cameras, and because you have a vlog channel, we haven't really built an audience specifically that would be interested in this book. And actually we started the channel Video Influencers after the decision to write a book. So we then said, okay, we now know we want to write this book. Let's put a benchmark of discipline. And I don't think that it has to be 25,000. That's a lot. But I think that there is something about thinking about the day your book comes out and then working backwards of leveraging social media and creating content. What ended up also happening was we started an interview show interviewing video influencers, meaning AKA people who are doing YouTube well in the entrepreneurship space, the business space. And because we did that, it actually made the book even better. There's something about like just making a decision, planting your flag, starting to move in that direction. And then it got even better. It took our ideas, refined them, and we wanted it to be right and not rushed. I do think you're so good at helping people with deadlines and helping people actually reach an end goal, and you don't want to fall into procrastination or like inevitable giving into writer's block forever. Your book will never get done. On the flip side, we were letting it become even stronger and even better. And we were also on that journey of here's the method. We stayed consistent to post at least one video on YouTube a week. We had a cool free download, which people would call a lead magnet or a freemium, at the end of the videos. In this case, it was just a YouTube checklist. And then that got people on an email list. And we just repeated that process for a couple of years. And then that email list grew. So to the point of the book launch did go well because all we had to do was send an email. Like, I mean, that was kind of the secret. Like the book launch was being prepared for 2 years ahead of time. But in addition to like, if we went live or got on podcasts or did some other things, we weren't really able to do some of those things. So the final piece was then just the relentless inclusion of the book forever. I mean, it's since that time, I'm trying to think, it came out in like 2018. And so, it's still 2021 and I hold it up in live streams. I mention it. Yeah, it came out in November. It came out in September 2018. To this day, it'll show up as an Instagram square. Not all the time, but it'll show up on my profile. It'll show up on my Instagram stories. I'll introduce myself and say, my name's Sean Cannell. I'm the author of YouTube Secrets. I'll talk about it on podcasts. And then Benji, because there's two of us, he still does a show called the VI Show. And he talks about it every single Saturday when he goes live on his show. And for some, I think there's maybe even a mindset there that could hold people back because 2% of people will be like, all you ever do is talk about your book, but you're always meeting new people. And because YouTube is a search engine and because some of your videos break out and get watched for weeks, months, and years to come, we now have a library of those assets that are constantly talking about it. Chandler, 2,000 books in a month is 73 copies a day. So, I mean, if you sell 73 of anything a day online, like earrings, bags of coffee, it's freaking crazy. So it's a lot of that content, but the final piece would be this. It might be a little overselling it to say that it's a perennial seller, as Ryan Holiday wrote about, but it may have hit that tipping point because at this point, yes, we've sent traffic, but it is stuck in the top couple lists of social media. The audiobook, we should talk about the audiobook in a second. And it's stuck though. And so it's one of those things. I'm the same way. I go to Amazon, I'm looking for a particular book. I see another ranked book. It says users who bought this also bought this one. So I'm like, well, of course I'll add that one to my cart as well. It looks good. Like, sure. And so I think probably at this point, 50% is our just continually talking about it, not even over promoting, but just constant integration in free and valuable content that we keep sharing on the internet.
That's great.
I think it's the reputation and the momentum that's built from the past content, but I also think it's the Amazon ranking that just keeps it kind of stuck in the sales there, which has created an insane snowball. That's pretty mind blowing. I mean, I'm still shocked. 73 copies a day is weird.
That's awesome. Hey, I want to talk about the audiobook in just a second. And I want to then talk about, so we've already kind of started talking about using YouTube to sell books and how you're doing that. I know there's more to it than that. How have you gotten so many reviews on this book? I mean, 1,300 plus reviews. That's awesome. And that plays very highly in Amazon's algorithm to rank it, to perpetuate more sales, all those things. Anything you've done specifically from a review perspective?
I wish I could say we've done more. There's been seasons where we've certainly done kind of like intentional asking and promotion. If the book's added value, leave a review. But at this point, it's just the snowball effect. I mean, I remember when we hit 1,000, we're like, woohoo. And a couple months later, I was like, when did we get to 1,350? Like, so I think it's just that compounding effect. And I heard a secret from Ryan Holiday, who said the secret to writing a perennial seller at the end of the day is writing a really good book. Like the secret to like blowing it up is, and obviously that's what you help people with and what, but I think that I will say this, we don't over promote or really promote much in it. Like we do have like a kind of, cause I know people write books to lead to maybe a business result. We didn't like weave links to our coaching in every other chapter. We just led with massive value, and we were patient to make the book really good because we wanted it to last. So I imagine the reviews are coming from because I can't even think, like you're reminding me right now that I should actually be more intentional to probably, because I think we could probably even double down more, but I think it's coming out of just the gratitude of readers that are stepping up and reviewing it on their own, because there is no review campaign in place, and it probably hasn't been for over a year.
Hey, Chandler Bolt here. I hope you're loving this episode so far. It's time to go from inspiration to implementation. All right, so if you've learned something, we want to help you implement what you've learned with your book. So what I want you to do right now is go to selfpublishing.com/schedule, book a publishing consultation with one of the experts on my team. We'll talk about your goals for your book, your dreams, your challenges, your next steps, and we'll start putting together a plan. All right, so go to selfpublishing.com/schedule, book a call with the team. Let's see how we can help with your book. It's time to implement. Any other tips on, because I want to talk about audiobook in a second, but any other tips or thoughts for folks who maybe don't have a massive YouTube channel on how they can specifically use YouTube to promote their book, to sell more books, things like that?
Well, I mean, everybody starts with 0 subscribers and everybody grows 1 subscriber at a time. I think the model is create some kind of a weekly show. A show might be you talking to your phone for 5 minutes, but you just want to be showing up consistently and then creating content that your book would also be the logical next step to. So the cool thing about a book is like you even could do a series on your book. Like there's 13 chapters. You could talk about 5 minutes of the first chapter, deliver massive value. And I noticed this recently with a competitor, and I think this is one of the biggest mistakes, who's writing a YouTube book. And I saw him on some interviews, and his thing was like, I'm not going to tell you the secrets. It was like, well, what is the YouTube formula? He's like, I'm not going to tell you it. You got to buy the book. And I was like, dude, that's the wrong deal. We teach the 7 C's for free. And basically we've done it multiple times, and basically like a webinar, but it's like a free 40-minute YouTube video. Like I'll get on YouTube and teach the entire framework. I actually think there's something when you give away, when someone's being introduced to a new concept, they still are going to want to go deeper. Or 2 things. You should give away your best content, because that's why you're going to grow and have influence and even meet people who may never buy the book. But 2, when someone's even interested, they go, wow, that's so good. I want to galvanize those concepts. Even out of gratitude, I potentially want to buy that or remember it. So I just noticed, it was funny. The secret is not, oh, I'm going to give a little on YouTube, but then I'm going to hold it and you got to buy the book. It's actually just give away everything. And the book is where they could get it all in one place in a different modality, and then do that repeatedly week after week. So a show could be you talking to your phone for 5 minutes. A show could be like you train and your videos for a lot of times 10 or 12 minutes, and it's really nice and edited. A show could be recording on Zoom and just doing an interview. So Benji brings on other YouTube influencers. This is a really good method, because if you did an interview show in your industry and you bring on guests, they potentially will bring some of their influence to the show. And if you just remind people that it's like, here's the deal. You could say brought to you by your book. And Chandler, here's one of the things we created. We created 15-second teaser reels that are essentially ads that even in our edited YouTube videos, we're like, this video is brought to you by tubesecretsbook.com. Learn the latest strategies and da-da-da. And that's it. It's like super quick. So it's like the hook, the bumper, our own brought to you by. We are the sponsor of ourselves. And then we just deliver, and we've done that for years, and we just keep doing it. So like we use the YouTube videos as the top of mind awareness. And again, you think that people are going to get tired or burnt out by that? 1% might, but it's kind of like vision. Andy Stanley will say, and any leadership coach, vision leaks. Like It's the law of 7 in marketing, which is a 20-year-old outdated law. Google told us it takes 23 to 27 touch points now to actually make a sale. So even if someone watches your show for 27 weeks, it might be how long they watch it before they buy it. So that's the vision you have of not being afraid to, if you will, over promote. You're not pushing or selling. You're just constant top of mind awareness, constant. It's like Bud Light sponsoring the Super Bowl. Like your book is just always there sponsoring your YouTube show. And if you're setting your business up right, your book should trickle down into the rest of your business. And so I think that's kind of the key. And so we've created that spot that we can either verbally say it. And then again, if you do an interview show in your niche with people that would be perfect to buy your book, then they're going to maybe bring their audience, and then some of their audience will hear about your book, and it's never weird or high pressure. They go, oh, that sounds cool. I'll pick that up as well. And then the key is then doing it for like 5 years. And I think what's amazing again is we're now 3 years plus into this book. We are going to update it, YouTube Secrets 2.0. But even if we didn't, we probably definitely have another 1 or 2 years, if not more, because it was written in a timeless fashion. And therefore our show, we've been promoting it for 5 years, Chandler, or we will be. And it's just constantly weaving it in and keeping it top of mind, because every day in our industry, someone's like, I want to start YouTube. So there's always like a new person who's just hearing about you. And that's the number one mistake. People talk about it launch week, they move on and they think about promoting the next thing. I heard Dean Graziosi hit like 100,000 copies on his book, and his team was like, bro, like, what's the next book? What are you going to write next? And he was like, next book? We're going to take this one to 200,000. Like, what do you mean next book? Like, let's actually keep promoting the same book. And so I think, go a lot harder and longer on the book you already have.
That's great. So to summarize, Sean just gave 3 tips, guys, for using YouTube to sell more books. Number 1, specific content around the topic of your book. Maybe it's even an interview show, because then you're getting kind of the built-in virality of someone who already has an audience. Number 2, using it as a bumper. So a brought to you by or sponsor on the videos that you have. And then number 3, embedding it in everything. So whether it's your live streams, whether it's a mention in your video, Sean, the author of YouTube Secrets, your bio, embedding it in everything. So 3 super practical ways. That's awesome. You mentioned audiobook, wanting to talk about that. What specifically, what about the audiobook is important to you? Is there anything unique that you've done from that perspective?
Yeah, well, here's the strategy. So first of all, I think that depends on your demo and your audience, but there's probably a whole, I'm 37. We're definitely hitting all, millennials probably, but all generations. But a whole probably 50% of those who follow me or discover me want the audiobook. And I think a lot of people, I love all formats. I love the physical book when I can sit down, but of course you're walking, so audiobooks are a major thing, Audible. So all we did was we recorded it. Now we did record it well. We wanted it to sound great. As opposed to like on a webcam speaker, in an echoey room. I think that would be avoidable, but, and we even invested some dollars, just to be in like a soundproof room with somebody who knew what they were doing. But here's the key. One of those bumpers we created, we bought the URL tubesecretsaudio.com, which is just a redirect to the Audible page. And when you sign up for Audible and you have a book through Amazon CreateSpace or whatever, it's all self-pub, right? You get credit if people sign up for just an Audible account. Now, the other myth you might think, well, everyone already has Audible. Nope. I think it's $5 if there's the gold level, or it's 10 if it's the silver level. Regardless, we've made around $35,000 from audiobooks. And out of those 2,000, around 900 were audiobooks. But think about this sale. Here's what the 15-second ad says. Want to get a copy of the YouTube Secrets audiobook for free? Just go to tubesecretsaudio.com. You can get the #1 best-selling YouTube strategy book in the world by just going to tubesecretsaudio.com. That's it. And that we play that one all over. In fact, that's our favorite one to play, because listen, first of all, as an advertisement, you were advertising giving your book away free. Second, if they already have Audible, they can still go there and then they will be like, okay, well, I'll use a credit on it. Third, if they go, well, I don't even like audiobooks, they still were sold a free book, but now they have awareness of the book. So it was a very nice way to approach someone. that then they go, oh, well, I didn't know this book existed. I'm just going to buy the physical copy. So my absolute favorite ad to weave into all of our content is grab a free copy of our audiobook. And it's generated a lot of revenue for people signing up for accounts. You actually get less if they use their credit. I think you get like 50 cents if they use their credit. So and then putting that out there over and over and over and over and over again. And here's the power of YouTube. And I love that strategy. And that's why I think it's great to have the audiobook. Plus it's so intimate. They're spending time with you. They're hearing your voice. If you can read it as the author, I mean, you want to have enough self-awareness that maybe 1 out of 10 people shouldn't do that and get somebody, but I mean, you even might want to get some vocal lessons or whatever, like, because again, or have somebody coach you through that. But like, that's a real level of intimacy. So great for podcasters, etc. YouTube is the only platform where your content truly lives forever, where a video you post today can be viewed weeks, months, and years to come. And YouTube, without a doubt, no hype, you are one video away from changing your life and business and your book sales and your life as an author forever. You talk about, a lot of people in your community, I'm sure, maybe talk about trending topics or news or politics or self-help or health. They talk about things where people could actually maybe commentate on what's happening, fiction, sci-fi, like they could, if they talked about the right topic at the right time, connected to the right trend, that video can pop off and quote unquote go viral. 100,000 views, I mean, 25,000 views, 2.5 million views. And when you get that level of promotion from YouTube, which is a lot more practical than people think, that can then bring in an awareness, and all of a sudden, quote unquote, you're an overnight success. We know that overnight success takes 10 years, but there is that moment where you have that opportunity where Goliath shows up, and that's the day of your promotion. And Goliath was not a death sentence. He was your opportunity. And you're like, there's the trend. There's the topic. I made the video. I put it out, and you introduce yourself. Hey, what's up? I'm Sean. I'm author of YouTube Secrets. Listen, the thing that YouTube is doing in regards to Bitcoin and Dogecoin right now is crazy. And all of a sudden you get put on blast because you post a smart video on YouTube. Then everyone goes, oh, author of YouTube Secrets. And all of a sudden it could be that life-changing moment for you. And in that moment, we call it like the Oprah effect. Back in the day when Oprah had her main show, if an author got on Oprah, it was the Midas touch. YouTube is the new Oprah. And it's just the YouTube algorithm. You want to make sure that at the end of that little snippet you upload, not only maybe that you said you're the author of YouTube Secrets, but you upload your 4-minute rant on that trend. And then at the end, it's like, want a copy of YouTube Secrets for free? And the 2.5 million people that watch that, 1 million of them make it to that ad. 1% even purchase the book, and that's 10,000 book sales. And so those are, I mean, in small, medium, and large ways, investing in YouTube is a good investment because it can blow up that awareness over time. We use the baseball analogy. It's like, all I ever want is a base hit. I want to get up, put out a video, get on base. Even if it's ugly, it's a bunt. They're like, boo, but I'm on base. It wasn't that great. But when you're consistent with a video a week, then eventually you get a grand slam, and because the bases were loaded. And so that's kind of what it is. It's just like one video a week. I'm getting up to bat, another video a week, always talking about my book. Wow. Didn't know that video at that time was going to pop off. I just got a grand slam. And then in a way, it's back to the grind. Cool. We sold an extra 300 copies of the book that week. Back to the grind. I'm here to add value, keep building my audience, keep serving people, keep getting the message out about my book, keep staying consistent on YouTube, keep my thought leadership going out into the world, positioning myself for the next book, but continuing to just talk about it and add value and commit to the marathon and realize that it's not a sprint.
Boom. That's awesome. I love your thoughts on audiobooks, and don't boo the bunts.
Don't boo the bunts.
Because you're still on base. Sean, this has been awesome, man. Very, very, very practical, and just an action-packed episode. Where can people go to buy your book and to find out more about what you're up to?
Well, Chandler, if people want to get the book for free, tubesecretsaudio.com, you can get a free copy of the audiobook if you don't have audio. Amazon, we decided to go all Amazon, exclusively Audible for that reason, just stack up the momentum. So you've got Audible, and you've got Amazon Kindle, and you've got the physical book on Amazon. So amazon.com for the book YouTube Secrets. That's the move. Great place to start. And definitely, of course, I'm biased, but I think that every author should seriously consider YouTube as a kind of a home base and a place to build up their thought leadership. not just to potentially grow, if you will, bigger and sell more books, even as a place to keep the relationship going with your current community, to just add more value and context around the book, tell more stories, build greater relationships. YouTube can be intimidating because of the technology. We'll help you with that. But once you overcome that, come on, you're a thought leader, you're a writer, you're here to help people. YouTube is going to extend the reach and the impact of your book. So if you want to check out YouTube Secrets, do that. My name is Sean Cannell, rhymes with YouTube channel. And I would love to, Sean Cannell everywhere on social media, would love to connect with people. And that's it.
Awesome. Sean, this is great. And I 100% agree. This is why we're investing in Self-Publishing School YouTube channel, the 7-Figure Principles channel. I mean, we're following your lead. I think I bought your YouTube course. The team went through it, is implementing it and using it as part of our YouTube strategy. So I believe in this stuff, and I agree. It's very helpful, or can be very helpful for authors if you do it the right way and if you focus on it. So check it out, guys. YouTube Secrets, Sean Cannell. Thanks, brother. This was awesome.
Chandler Bolt, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Self-Publishing School podcast. I know there's so many places that you can be spending your time. There's other podcasts that you could be listening to, YouTube channels that you could be watching. So thank you so much. It means the world. Now, I want you to do 3 things right now if you found this episode helpful. All right, number 1, I don't know if you know this, but we've got a YouTube channel. It's a companion channel to this podcast. All the video versions of the episode are on the YouTube channel. So number 1, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Number 2, if you're listening to this podcast wherever, whether this is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, number 2, I want you to subscribe to this podcast right now so you don't miss a future episode. And then number 3, this is probably the most important, leave a review on the podcast. All right, reviews are super important and help this podcast get discovered by other people. So number 3, leave a review on the podcast. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next episode. If you're on the fence about scheduling a publishing consultation call with my team, maybe you're not quite ready for that, I've got some free training that I think will be really helpful for you. All right, all you have to do is go to register to sign up. Go to selfpublishing.com/free training. When you do, you're also going to get a free digital copy of my new book, Published. And on that training, you're going to learn the next steps of how to implement with your book. So how to write, how to publish, how to launch successfully. So go to register right now at selfpublishing.com/free training. I'll see you there.